Hey there folks, Wrel here, and welcome back to our first actual play. And it's also January 1st, so this is the first TTRPG session that I'm monopolizing all of your time. It's going to be, somebody mentioned in the Discord, it's the year of Distal. It's also the year of Dungeons & Dragons 50th anniversary and a bunch of other cool TTRPGs coming out, so, we'll see how it goes. But in this particular game, we are looking to play through the first of a 3-part story arc that the characters created in the last session will be partaking in. Full disclosure, I don't know how it goes. There could be, I guess for all of you too, there could be 1 fight, there could be 3 fights. It really depends on your decisions, because that's the lack of preparation that I enjoy doing. So joining with me today is Stephanie Ann from the Stephanie Ann podcast, John from Dragonmind, and Kitty, who's just a wonderful person. You can all say hello.
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 Oh, hello.
Okay. We'll get it at some point. It'll be like this by session 3. So today we're going to be using Alchemy VTT, which is new to all of us. We're going to be rolling dice on screen, but the players here have the option to roll real physical meat-based dice if they feel so inclined, and we'll just be kind of moving through the story. So I'm going to take a few liberties and start the beginning of this session frozen, just a moment frozen in time. So you find yourself at the Kuar Temple, which has a bloody reputation. This temple is an ancient ruin of thousands, maybe, of years ago. It's located near Ettenwald, which is it's a small town that is kind of in the midst of a lot of elven ruins. And there's elven ruins kind of like scattered all throughout the forests. However, the Kuar Temple is not one of them. The civilization at the time probably existed alongside the early elves, but not too much is known about these particular people. What is known is about their brutal practices. To get into the temple itself, there is a large, maybe 50-foot wide well that spirals downward, and you walk along a staircase that kind of runs the outskirts. The frozen moment is that if you imagine a camera kind of looking down upon a Yvain who is reaching out for help, maybe, facing the sky, and they are falling. The stairs have given way, stones kind of collapsing. They reach to try to grab onto something, but Sayame, would you describe your character?
Yes, I had to get up my character description. She's a Yvain from the Plane of Storms, and she wears a long black cloak that has a whole lot of pockets on the inside for holding stuff. And she has, the AI couldn't figure it out, but she has a veil that kind of covers her eyes and forehead, because the Yvain have like the third eye situation going on. And she kind of moves as if she's distracted, or maybe aware of things that others can't necessarily see or sense.
And speaking of, when you find yourself falling backwards, looking up into the sky, beneath you is this pool of accumulated water. Hopefully it's deep enough to cushion your fall, but you reach out. In this frozen moment, we look around, we can see that there's a stone, a prominent location where people who were being sacrificed or maybe punished were pushed down into this well, which was dry at one point, and would fall to their death. That's where this reputation, this whatever civilization existed here, that was one of the practices that they engaged in. So much like
Sparta?
Like Sparta, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Much like the people who were pushed and fell to their ultimate demise, you maybe could feel some of that similar energy as you plummet backwards. So as we follow up that outstretched arm, we keep following it up to elven fingertips that reach and trying to grab their companion's arm, and we move up the shoulder and then to an elven face. What does Zell look like?
So Zell is a wiry elf boy. He's got white hair, and even though this picture makes him look very standard heroic, it is often his mask for how unsure he is a lot of times, such as how unsure he is that he can pull up Sayame while she's falling.
Fortunately, you have help. So as you reach out to try to clutch the cloak that is drifting, and grab onto some sort of fabric to help Sayame from falling, we follow up kind of over your shoulders, and then we see another hand, a large, meaty hand, grasping your shoulder, and then a large chest, and then another hand kind of like grabbing onto some of the stone wall. And this large, bulky figure, what does Udira look like?
So Udira is an Olsdottir, so she stands probably about 7'6". Does that sound like an Olsdottir height?
Sure.
Okay. And she's pretty densely built, but her arms and legs are probably seem just a little too long from what normal human and maybe elven proportions are. But she has kind of like dirty blonde hair. Her face is a little scuffed up, and she has almost like a Roman style armor that's a brigandine, so it's kind of like the with the skirt and the leather and the metal. And she's holding on, trying to make sure her comrades aren't falling down a deep, dank hole.
So as you, there's like this chain of bodies. So you're trying to prevent your elf and Yvain companion from, toppling over, or at least trying to assist the Yvain. So you might fall. Let's see if your friends reach you. Why don't, let's see, Zell, give me maybe just a dexterity check.
And that'd just be my dexterity score, right?
Yeah. 1d20 plus dex. Oh,
I got a 5!
Dope. So, Sayame, as this, like the step came out from underneath you, it was, this is not something that you could really predict. You fall backwards. We unfreeze time as you plummet downward, downward, downward. And eventually you hit the water beneath you. The water kind of embraces you. It's not wholly, it's not like wicked deep. It's about 10 feet. But it's enough to slow your descent. I don't foresee you taking any damage in this moment based on the distance. And the water is wicked murky. And your friends can be seen kind of like maybe 20, 30 feet up, needing to make their way down. You find yourself in this temple. There are no visible doors, only a well of gathered water where this circular, ritual site would have been.
How much light is there?
Sky is overcast, but there's plenty of light leading into the water. The water itself, though, is quite murky. Sayame, as you look around, the only place above water at this point is like the end of the stairs where your friends will be joining you. So you can see where the entrance would be. for the temple, it would be beneath the water. So you'll have to get into the water. That's what that's the direction that I'm going.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Then
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does torchlight work like a regular flame, or does it just work? Like, could I use it underwater?
It would just work. You can use it underwater.
Okay. Well, while I'm waiting for them to come down, I'll just go take a peek at the entrance, but not like just see what's in there, but like not actually go in and then come back up to meet people.
You move over to the entrance, or where the entrance would be, except it is collapsed. Like much of the ruins that surround this place, there's a level of deterioration. However, there's a little bit of algae and grass built up on the floor, where, well, what would be a floor. But the rocks themselves seem more recently fallen, probably within, well, I guess it'd be hard to tell. But this entrance is, I would say, newly collapsed. I'm sure you could probably figure out a way to either knock them over, move them. If you have the levitate spell, that's one that you could use to kind of excavate this particular area.
We thought about it. Take it. Yeah, well, I'll go back and tell them.
Okay.
Like that basically everybody's getting wet.
Okay. So your friends make their way down to the base of the pool, and you're on what feels like mostly stable ground at this point, but faced with that one very railroady entrance to this particular temple.
Can I try to be muscly and strong and move some rocks?
Absolutely. So you dive down into the water. There are rules for drowning. There are rules for swimming. Basically, the swimming rules are just that you're encumbered while you're in the water. If you get pinned or strained, then you sink to the bottom, and then there's a certain amount of time that you can hold your breath. I think the teamwork makes the dream work, regardless of...
Well, I'll help with my shepherd's crook, because I can pull with it. Okay.
So as you find yourself trying to excavate these rocks from the base of the temple, Sayame, you feel a little tug at your cloak.
Well, I'm going to pay attention to that right from the start. We're in freaking unknown water. I'm not going to ignore something sliding by my foot.
Right. Yeah, so you look down, and despite the water being murky, you have your torchlight going, and what it illuminates is what it seems like the grass almost takes the form of like hands, and is kind of like trying to pull, and just at your ankles and your clothing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can cut her free.
Well,
or attempt to.
Yeah, or just cut the grass. It doesn't sound like I'm getting sucked in yet. You can focus on hacking this stuff so it doesn't pull us down.
So as you try to peek your head above water to speak to your friend, the tugging or the grasping grass roots becomes a little bit more violent and quick. It does not want you to leave, and everybody should just roll initiative. Well, everybody, I say one person. Who has the highest initiative?
Remind me, initiative is Dex or Wisdom?
Yes, so 1d20 plus Dex or Wisdom.
I got an 8. Oh, sorry, I have a +3 as the modifier, though.
Okay, cool. So we're just going to stick with a roll of 8, and I'm going to roll and counter. And you all can kind of move over to the tactical map, which is at the top right-hand corner of your screen, just to the left of the party. You can click over there. You should see what seems like it's the closest thing that I could find to a well. I'll say
That's a bigger space than I expected. So underwater, does everything, so kind of like Torchlight, does everything work mechanically the way that it does? Like, or do we have, like, you can't swing a weapon underwater as fast as you can on it. So are there any, what happens underwater?
Okay, so some very specific rules I'm going to pop over. All right, so swimming, just as a baseline, means that you're encumbered. So any sort of movement that you attempt to take costs twice as much. Attacks while swimming are untrained. So while you are underwater, those attacks are done at a -2. And you don't add your attribute bonus to damage. Ranged and thrown weapons deal 0 damage when fired beyond 10 feet. So projectiles slow very, very quickly in the water, and they're just not going to impact enough to do damage. The other
What about
thing,
spells?
yeah, spells are a little bit different in that they're not ranged attacks unless they're spell attacks. So you can still make use of any spell that forces the target to kind of react to it. And then sinking. So if you're restrained or pinned, you begin to sink. We'll deal with that if we get to it. And then as far as breath hold time is concerned, it's 5 plus fortitude rounds. Alrighty.
I like little cheat sheets in the dock.
Thank you.
Also, all right. So my one attack spell, I'll just say it from the start, is lightning link. Yeah. So electricity underwater, like how, but magic electricity. So it could follow a direct path still, or it could be disaster for everyone involved. So, what happens there?
I would love for there to be very specific rules if it came to interactions like this. However, there is one precedent for being soaked. There's a spell currently in the game called like Douse or Rainfall or something like that. It makes people vulnerable to electricity if they are under those conditions. So we'll operate that way, and we'll say that you don't electrocute everybody. We'll say that keep the targets as normal. But the targets will be vulnerable. So the way that we're going to run this is I got the first go. Oh, wait, no. You all did. So which of you are going to go first? Let me reveal some tokens real quick.
Do you guys have a preference?
I don't necessarily have a preference, but I do feel like situationally I would go first because you're unaware that anything's even happening at this point, unless I'm really starting to like flail around in the water. Also, I'm feeling decidedly picked on in this encounter. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't have to go first, but I feel like situationally it would make sense. But now I have to decide what to do. Well, I feel like Lightning Link makes the most sense, so I will do that to the ones that are on either side of me.
So that is, actually that's a spell attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's gonna get a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's untrained, but then they have a disadvantage against it, right?
They have vulnerability to it. 6 does not hit.
Okay. And now I don't know. Are they dead?
Yes, I would say that these seem to be maybe spirits that are kind of like left behind, that are animating whatever exists.
Okay, then I'm gonna drop torchlight, and I'm going to conjure a bone rattle.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm gonna try to calm down the one that's grabbing me somehow. I'm gonna try to influence it.
Roll your influence plus whatever.
Okay, so I'm adding. Oh no, I read it wrong. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm adding Obscura a religion, so I need to add. So pretend that's a +2, so subtract 1, so it's an unnatural 20.
Nice. So you're kind of trying to commune with these sorts of spirits, and I'll say that the grasping kind of recedes. So
can I get back above water?
Yes.
Am I in a position where I can take a breath of air? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, and I'm also going to shout at Zell that there's problems.
Okay, so my go here, and I'm going to say that, okay, so Udira, roll Strength or Dex, and let me know if you beat an 8.
I got a 5.
Okay. So you become, you feel your legs kind of become pinned to the ground. Something feels like it's tangling you, and also like it could potentially get worse. Now it is whoever's turn.
Well, Zell is going to dive into the water and try to hold his breath. Dagger in one hand, a thame in the other, both in reverse grip. And he is going to try to stab the hand with the dagger first to attempt to free or remove the harassment from Sayame. I got an 11.
So everything's at a -2 because you're underwater.
it would
Right.
be a 6.
Okay, yeah. So the first attack misses.
And then I guess I'll swing with the Athame.
So untrained is -2, not just 0.
That's right.
Ouch.
All right, so the second one's a 1, so I'm going to end my turn.
Feels bad. And one of these drowning dead is going to try to grasp at Zell. So Zell, I need you to roll to escape a DC 8 check, strength or dexterity. And this is made with your full bonus.
That was an 11.
Yeah, so you avoid the grasping roots and vines, and that's their turn. So it's up to Udira.
I will take my sword and try to attack the one pulling me down. I'm going to use my technique to imbue it with lightning, and I'm going to try to hit it.
So that's going to be your roll -2 because it's untrained.
I rolled an 18, so 16.
Nice. Okay, so you hit it.
So 4 lightning damage and 9 slashing damage. I'm sorry, I don't add my attribute bonus, right?
No, it's just flat.
Okay, so it would have been 6 slashing damage and 4 lightning damage.
Okay, cool. So you strike through it, and it kind of like does a little disintegrating sort of motion. You don't feel the energy there anymore, and the roots are gone. So you're effectively no longer pinned, and it's up to one of these other things to go. So we're just going to move over, and they're going to take another. It's not even a swing. It's just an attempt to keep you here with them forever. So Sayame, please roll to escape a DC 8 strength or dexterity check.
Again, I failed. I got a 4.
Okay. So you are pinned, which means that you just cannot move at this point. And then the last drowning dead is going to move over to Zell and try to do the same thing.
Whoa, I got a nat 20.
Okay, so you're fine.
Nice.
And that's their turn. So we start at the top of the order again, which I believe would be Saime.
Well, I don't have any spell slots. Wait, are these creatures?
Yeah, that count.
Yeah, so I got a spell slot back because it died. Ah, bugger. All right, I'll pay attention.
Oh, you also get a willpower die?
You also get willpower. Yeah.
So that means we're at 2, right?
Yes, and the maximum is your party size, so you can't have more than 3. So use the willpower. Right. I forgot. We're all learning. We need to play test more.
Okay, all right. So I missed out on an opportunity to do Necrotic Lash, but that's on me. So I don't know. I'll just try to do Lightning Link again, I guess. Okay. I got an 11.
Awesome. Okay, so you fry 2 of these. Roll your damage.
Yeah, and obviously the ones that are closest to me. There you go. I got an 8 damage.
Okay, and then they're vulnerable to it. Double 16. You crackling sparks erupt through the water, and you disintegrate whatever entities were trying to restrain you.
Okay, and then I'm gonna get air.
We're still moving through the order at this point, so it's up to Zell.
So with the willpower dice, we each have 2 of them, right?
Currently.
So it's not like if I use one, I'm taking away from a party pool.
That's right.
Okay. I will.
The other note, real quick, is that willpower is not used outside of combat, so smoke him if you got him.
So this one's my dagger attack. It's a 17 to hit.
Hits.
I deal 3 damage.
Okay. You strike at whatever this entity is. It's kind of flailing around, but seems to still be going for you.
Okay, I'm going to use my Athame. So it's an 8. Can I roll my willpower die now that I've seen? Okay. Yeah, so that's another 3. So it's an 11 total.
It would have hit with an 8. I'm sorry. Like that is their armor class.
When the willpower triggers, can I choose to roll it if I know the roll failed, or do I have to make the decision before that's declared?
No, you can make the decision after you know the results of the roll.
Results being if it failed or not?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I deal 5 damage with my Athame.
And you move through this grass, cut it apart, it drifts away. That's it. We are effectively out of combat. Everybody goes up for air. You can move back over if you would like. to the story mode. Whatever entities were there at this probably very sad and unfortunate ritual location where people were kind of tossed to their death, you see that the spirits are somewhat settled for now. The rocks still remain.
So I have arcane tool, so I can conjure a crowbar to help lever the rocks away.
Cool. And as you pry one of the large ones out of position, you feel the suck of water start pulling as the pool begins to drain. The rest of the rocks collapse away, and you find yourself swept through the halls at this point, like a big slip and slide sort of situation as the water comes cascading behind you. And you're now getting a very quick tour of the inside of this particular temple, its long hallways. You eventually, so you're moving through, and Sayame in particular, you see spirits dressed in interesting garb, kind of like notice your presence and then flick through the walls. More like they're startled than anything else. Like whatever used to exist here, nobody else is seeing this.
So out of game, I know what this temple is. Why are we here? Is there like an object we're recovering, or were we hired to do something specific?
Word. I skipped over a very important part, I think, at the start, just to get us going. But you are here on behalf of Ettenwald. That I would say, like, the village mayor probably posted some bounty, or maybe more specifically gotten your attention. And there were a couple of complaints about this particular ruin. The first of which is that all of the hunting in the area is now dead, because, or rather, not the animals are dead, the animals have left. The jungle or forest or whatever is silent. When hunters have moved through this area in recent days, they've heard strange sounds coming from the ruins, and then there's just a presence of energy in this place that didn't used to be here. So your goal would be to find the source of whatever disturbance is taking place in this ruins, and then also ideally be able to resolve it somehow. Another adventuring party was sent probably maybe like last month, and it was a few adventurers as well, just like local people who lived in Ettenwald to investigate this ruin. They have not come back. Very likely they are dead. That is kind of just the consensus. People aren't naive to that idea.
Does Sayame see any spirits that look like it might be them?
All the spirits, and I mean, you're probably not communicating this at this moment, but the spirits that you see are dressed in garb that people don't dress that way. There's a lot of ceremonial like headdresses and baubles and that sort of thing, and like gowns. So whatever existed in this ruin, this is probably those people. So as you continue on careening through these hallways, eventually you slam into the wall of a T intersection. As you slam into that T intersection, it is extremely dark in here.
Can I make my little torchlight go?
You can.
Awesome. Also,
Illuminated.
obnoxiously, do we get a new picture?
So you find yourself now inside the ruined halls of this temple that once held an ancient civilization. The walls are deteriorating. Everything is kind of sort of falling apart. So you will find just piles of rocks or walls that are partly collapsed and maybe need to kind of crawl through. Unlike what's on the screen currently, it is not so clean, and there's certainly no candles. No candles anywhere. Saya, you would see like a strange curiosity with the spirits, and I will say that this is not something that normally happens to you, even despite your ferryman background. This is spirits do not offer themselves like visibly as readily as is taking place here, which probably translates to some sort of disruption with the just the rest that these spirits are facing.
I asked Zell and Udira? Yeah, Udira, if they can see the spirits too.
No.
And then I tell them that they're everywhere, and that's kind of weird because I usually have a good sense of them, but I can't see them like this most of the time.
Zell will laugh nervously and ask, do they seem friendly?
There's a mild interest, but there's not any hostility that you can see.
Okay, I let them know that they're not friendly. Also, this reminds me of Hades, like when you're in the house of Hades and like all the little spirits are like talking about how they died. That's my favorite part of that game. It's just how they died.
I think maybe you're getting some of that feeling kind of in this place. So you wander through. The water that had just come funneling down kind of subsides, sinks into the cracks that's still there, like creating maybe small puddles that your boots are kind of clopping through, trudging to trudge. And you move through this temple. Before long, as you're kind of exploring in that small handheld torchlight, you feel a vibration that shakes the entirety of the space around you, and then it's like there's a thrum of energy and then a low bassy sound that kind of moves up and then vanishes. And then as it subsides, another part of the temple kind of like collapses inwards.
Does it feel magical in nature?
I would say
Can I use my mage work? Oh, okay.
roll mage work and then add, I would say, Arcana. 7. Cool. So the nature of this magic is a little bit difficult to ascertain. And Zell, when you're moving through some of these halls, you notice that there are big chunks of floor missing, but it's like a pocket of it. And then there's like some scrapes that are next to it. They look like paw prints, except they would have to be incredibly heavy.
Can I roll investigation to glean any information?
Yeah, let's say that you do that and then also add your beasts if you have it.
Got a 19.
I think that the majority of the information that would come from that is that they are, strangely, marks of some sort of beast, but the weight at which they would have had to land in order to cause these sorts of small little baby craters is like that. You're talking like a metal object, potentially, in order to smash the stone. And you see a number of them. They go back and forth, but they're all the same size. It almost seems like meandering through the halls. So anyway,
I convey this to my party.
right.
I can set a kind of trap so that we can know if something's following us, so it'll at least alert us. I want to set a glyph of burning, and it can last for 3 minutes. So if something steps on it, I'm going to assume we would hear it explode, maybe?
Yeah, totally. As you're moving through, there is, I would say that you're entering an area where you start to see light in kind of a purplish color bouncing off some of the more, I guess, wet surfaces. But it's not enough to really pinpoint the location. But as that's noticed, you hear a low growl, but it seems to be coming from a room nearby.
I would be cool with investigating that if we want to. I ask everyone, should we check that out?
I will be cool with you checking it out and me hiding behind this pillar.
I will draw my sword just in case.
So Zell, you can immediately take on the hide action. We'll just say that you're hidden. If you functionally end your turn in a period or like an area of light, the hidden condition is lost. So I imagine you kind of trailing a little bit further back as Udira and Saya move forward. There's a part of the tunnel that is collapsed. The way is barred. in front of you. Except that there's also like a little offshoot, and maybe this was a room that they were trying to build out at some point, but it's only been carved and not that worked stone of the rest of the temple. But it kind of like paths in and through and gets around the blockage. And inside that sort of cave-like area, you hear another growl. Saya, you notice a spirit, kind of like of a child, sitting next to what seems like a lump of fur. The child is like patting it on its head, I guess, and then it like looks up at you and just immediately winks away. Everybody roll perception.
Okay, does the beast thing react?
No.
I'm sorry, did you say it was asleep?
You hear labored breathing as you would if something was sleeping.
I got a 13.
I got a 17.
Dope. Okay, it looks like a bear, but the bear is emaciated the right word?
That means really skinny and like sickly.
Yeah, so it looks like it's
Starving.
I
feel like, yeah.
Exactly. And it kind of, it's curled up now, very labored, breathing. The fur is like a salt and pepper sort of situation, except the arms that are folded in front of it are entirely, they look metal, like almost like platinum. Very, you'd imagine almost maybe like some liquid metal sort of situation, but it's curled up, kind of resting on top of it. Here's the choice that I offer to you. You can attempt to stealth through this area and around it. You could wake it up, talk to it potentially. I don't think any of you have beast tongue, so that's okay. Everybody laughs at the options until they come into play.
Does anyone have food? Can we feed it? Or did the food get soggy? Because we went in the water.
Well, if it's soggy, we don't want it anymore. Maybe the starving bear wants it.
I think that you would just innately have, like rations on you, maybe some jerky and whatever is able to stay.
I don't mind that idea. We could each give a piece of ration, put it carefully, slowly, move towards it to what feels like an appropriate distance, and place it down, and then back the hell up.
So
are there ready actions in this?
there are not, but we can narratively kind of figure out what you want to do, and then we'll make things make sense. So what is Udira thinking about?
I was considering placing another glyph if the creature makes any aggressive movements. I was going to place a snowburst glyph, which would be slowed until its next turn if it went off.
Gotcha. Yeah, let me offer another piece of information. So who's going to be throwing the food down?
I can.
All right, so big bulky Ulstadr kind of moves up front. Udira, as you're trying to inch your way closer and find the safe distance, what you see at the very edges of Saya's light are what look like bones and some errant adventuring equipment. It seems as if probably and I would say that this adventuring equipment is probably like in a design that you would recognize as just like common attire. So it totally doesn't belong to the people who were here. It might belong to the adventurers who came down here and never came back. So you want to move on, continue to try to feed the hungry bear? I'm introducing doubt, but I'm not trying to dissuade you. I think that there are no bad ideas.
Well, John says what he thinks happened is that the adventurers tried to attack the bear. Zell has no idea what's going on because he's cowering behind a pillar because he's not fighting a bear, especially a metal bear. He can barely fight algae hands.
Barely. Is this adventuring gear closer to us or like on the other side of the room?
It'd be probably on the other side of the room.
Wanted to take stuff. I don't know. I'm still down for feeding the bear.
Yeah, Udira has doubts, but we'll continue with this plan.
Word.
Hey, Udira volunteered.
Okay, cool. So slide, inch yourself up into a way that you can create some sort of, I imagine, a substantial offering. Get all the stuff out of the pack. and place it out in front of this bear. Before you fully are able to back away, you see the nostrils flare a little bit. The eyes kind of pop open, and you see that they're like milky, but also like a little bit greenish, and it kind of like scans the room from a sleepy haze. Eventually it locks eyes onto you, Udira in particular. Why don't we try to roll an influence and then add your beasts?
14.
14, cool. So you wake, this creature wakes up rather, and it eyes you and begins to kind of like puff up, and it creates a very intimidating presence. And this is a large creature by mechanical standards. The hands kind of smash into the ground, shakes the floor beneath you as these sort of like metal all the way up to the elbow arms, and it kind of like looks you over. But there's like a vague, you like see some intelligence in there, just in the like back behind the eyes, and it kind of like takes the stuff and moves it kind of away and is warily eating it and eyeing you. You would probably glean that this is its current prerogative, and I think that there is a small window that you have time to move through.
Can we kind of sidestep without turning our backs to it? Kind of.
That totally makes sense. If you're going to run and then, flail your arms, maybe you kick on some fight or flight reflexes, so please don't do that.
Do I see what's happening? Like, can I start sneaking real quick, doing an old crab shuffle?
Oh yeah, totally. You scuttle on down
Are we
the hallway.
moving into a smaller hallway? Like, should I place another glyph?
I think that you would expect that it might want to follow you whenever it's done. So placing a glyph, yeah, totally feel free.
I'll place another glyph of burning.
Okay. So you move through the hallway. The purple lights that you were sort of seeing bleed through some of the areas of the hallway become a little bit more pronounced. And you feel another like bassy energy build up that shakes the walls again, and a little bit more of the temple kind of collapses in. Saya, you see it's like some of the spirits that are kind of like they're looking around and wondering what's happening as much as you are, and then they kind of retreat into whatever pocket of nothingness exists.
Can I try to like communicate or get their attention or something?
Yeah, you can.
With a bone rattle.
Sure.
Okay, it's gonna be dark for a minute. Okay.
Influence is good.
I don't even know what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get it to any kind of communication or something. I don't know, or even see if it can hear me without getting scared.
Influence plus what? Obscura?
30,
Okay.
20.
Yeah, so one of these creatures, they kind of like go to phase through a wall or something like that, but then something about your, like you managed to gather its interest. And then it has a hand on a wall that like looks over to you. It eyes you suspiciously and tries to speak, but there are no words.
Can I lip read anything?
Yeah, so what's your perception plus body language?
Yeah, I got a 1. So do you want me to roll for it?
I would say that it's in a language that you don't understand.
Okay.
Okay. And then it's, there's like confusion, probably on both sides, and then it links out of existence.
Boo.
So you move on. You're getting closer now to this purple illuminating light, and you can see now that it's kind of bleeding through another cave-in. There's light feeding through cracks in stone, and this might be another heavy lifting sort of situation. Where in order to move on, you will need to excavate a little. You can hear what is like maybe machinery on the other side of this cave-in.
I don't really have anything like preparatory that I could do other than make sure we have light.
I have a glyph, but I wouldn't want to risk it going off too close to us. Like if something is going to shoot through the rocks as we are clearing them away.
We can just say that Udira is going to start excavating. it doesn't take long to move the amount of rubble out of the way. And what you see on the other side is a large space, a singular chamber with what looks like, I guess, a portal. Currently, that portal is closed.
Is it like normal? Do these kind of things happen in this world? Or is this like, oh my God, this is alien technology?
So scattered around the space, I'll answer that question. Scattered around the space, you see desks and other arcane implements. Whatever is, so like this portal is seems fairly recently constructed. Portals in this world in general, kind of problematic because they require a lot of energy to move beings to and from different locations. Because of that, they're usually located, so even, they're rare in general, but you'd usually find them in places where like ley lines intersect, create some sort of conflicts of energy. But a lot of emotion in an area could also create what is essentially the equivalent of magic. So that's kind of when you think about like spirits leaving a plane, or like why the restless undead exist in a place. It's because they were there's something keeping them around, but sometimes that's just like they're really, really angry and need to resolve something. That being said, again, desks all scattered around the space. Currently, portal is closed. However, there's still like purple arcane braziers that are scattered around. And who knows what the space was used for prior to, but currently it is almost a laboratory. What would you like to do?
Go over to one of the desks to see if there are any journals or documents to shed any light on what's going on.
I'll get everybody else's take too.
Can I scout around and look for if there's anything living in this room or what all of the exits are?
Sure thing. Saya, what do you think?
I like Zell's plan of trying to figure out who did this and why.
So looking around on the desks, there's like scattered paperwork, there's schematics for this particular device. You also see some notes, like correspondence written, it's kind of written plainly, but in a tone that doesn't seem local to the region. There's like an attempt to be formal. I think it's a language barrier thing in the way that it's written, and it's addressed to a Madame Gustier, and that's all that her name seems to be, and it's the bottom of these letters. There's notes on requesting the progress, or rather requesting updates on the progress, and will we, or like how many people can we move through at a time? You don't see any correspondence going the other direction. It's all just like accumulated notes on this side, alongside schematics in like tomes of information on the creation of this device, and then also some information on just the region and the people from long ago that used to be in this particular temple. So there's like cultivated information.
What was her name again?
Madame Gustier, Gustre. Gustier, I don't know. It's one of those. Who knows? Who really
If you
knows?
made it up, you
Who
get
can
to
say?
decide.
So Udira, as you're looking around, there are a couple more entrances, also blockaded with rubble, except some of it actually seems intentional. Like maybe things were partially collapsed, but then others have like stacked up stones, maybe in an attempt to kind of create a little bit more safety in the space and kind of cordon off some of the hallways. You see no living creatures.
I will kind of stay closer to where we came in and just watch for creatures, things, just be nearby.
It seems very obvious that this is the source of the power, build up, fluctuations, disruptions, what have you. You also figured out what happened to the other adventuring party that went down here. Saya.
investigate the portal a little bit without getting too close.
Cool. Give me mage work plus arcana. Or if Udira would be better for that roll.
I would have a +3 for that.
Yeah, I only have a +1.
I got a 12.
So this device is it is unusual in nature, but I think that any sort of portal equipment is so far beyond your realm of influence. Actually, all of you would have no idea how this works. However, if you tried to destroy it or tamper with it in some way, it might cause major problems. As in explosive sort of situation problems. You're dealing with a conflux of energy that you don't have an understanding of how to diffuse or reroute or otherwise disconnect. You can hear a windup of energy.
From the portal?
From the portal. You have moments to react. Is there anything that you would like to do in this second?
Dive behind a desk.
1.
Yeah,
Zell is a weenie. All right. No, you have to hide to be mechanic. Yeah, it's just your reaction to everything is I run and hide. All right, but I feel like that actually isn't a bad idea. I also hide.
Cool. And then Udira.
yes, I also get behind a desk.
Okay, so first off, you are quite a large creature.
Is it going to be an energy blast that I'm trying to avoid? That's what I'm envisioning.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Here's what I'll say. So first off, all of you roll stealth.
I have noisy armor. Is that a -2?
Oh, it is a nothing. You can roll for stealth, but you can't add any bonuses.
I got a natural 1.
That feels so bad.
Got a 15.
Okay, cool. So, Zell, the desk that you chose to hide behind, it's probably it just happened to be there, but not a great place to hide.
It's like a table. It doesn't actually sound like a full-on desk.
Right. You see hands and knees underneath it. And
Earthquake.
what'd you get, Udira?
18.
18. Cool. So you being near places of rubble, there are, despite your very large frame, you find a place to hide. Saya, very similar. And this portal, so it opens in that it becomes solid. You can see a picture through on the other side. At least you could perhaps maybe for a vague moment, until 2 entities step through. There's one clad in black plate armor, carrying a heavy mace and just a fully concealed face behind their helmet. The second is a fury, which is a lithe, kind of sort of winged creature. It would remind you of a harpy, and has very elegant attire, walks very upright, and then takes a moment to look around, and the eyes narrow in very quickly on Zell's location. And that's where we're going to end this particular session. All right, you losers. Thank you so much for...
Zell's the one that couldn't hide. He's the only loser. It's literally his job.
Yeah, so we'll pick it up next time, beginning with maybe not a combat. It depends on how that situation is resolved. It can totally be a combat, but we'll see. So thank you all very much for hanging out, and anyone watching, thank you for listening, and catch you next time.